inspirational interval for today. Lovely day for it. Sun is shining this morning that I'm going to be giving this to you today. But nice, been able to get out and walk a little bit this morning and hear all what's going on as spring is springing. Which brings me to my inspiration today. There certainly is a lot around these days to pull from. I pulled from one of my standbys, one of my favorites. This is the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. Been going through this for a number of years, and I find each time that I read it, it highlights something new. The one I picked today is called The Courage of the Seed, and it seemed entirely appropriate with all that's going on right now. The courage of the seed. All the buried seeds crack open in the dark, the instant they surrender to a process they can't see. What a powerful lesson is the beginning of spring. All around us, everything small and buried surrenders to a process that none of the buried parts can see. And this innate surrender allows everything edible and fragrant to break ground into life of light that we call spring. In nature, we are quietly given countless models of how to give ourselves over to what appears dark and hopeless, but which ultimately is an awakening that is beyond all imagining. This moving through the dark into blossom is the threshold to God. As a seed buried in the earth cannot imagine itself as an orchid or a hyacinth, neither can a heart packed with hurt imagine itself loved or at peace. The courage of the seed is that once cracking, it cracks all the way. So it certainly seems like there is a lot unknown out there, and perhaps some darkness and some fear. And we just have to embrace it and know that something good is coming out of all of this, that we cannot see it yet. But as long as we hold on to the faith that even those things that we can't see, those things that are unknown, always provide answers for us. As we stay on this path of trying to find a higher meaning for ourselves, living our true paths, all of those good things, this is what we ultimately must always remember. All these seeds are buried and we can't see them, and we're not always clear what's going to be manifested from those seeds. But we know that something miraculous always comes from a seed. Something is born again. And so this day, as every day, we have the choice on how we choose our day to be. We can choose to embrace it and know it's one day closer to seeing what that seed is going to be, or we could slip back into fear. Either way, we need to feel what we feel with those, the excitement or the depth of that fear. And once we can feel those things, then we can move forward. Then we can let go. Then we can accept the gifts or realize the gifts or start to see the gifts that are out there and all that is unseen. So know that something great is coming along with spring. Our ability to open our windows and let in fresh air, our ability to get outside, our ability to continue to connect with each other as it becomes appropriate. So that's my inspiration for today. Thank you for listening.
Happy Easter, church family. This is Rachel Corpus, Director of Youth Education here at Unity of Des Moines, and I wanted to offer a short children's message as part of our celebration service today. So if you have a little one at home, now is the time to call them over to you and get comfy together to share in this message. And remember that we are all children at heart, so this message truly is for everybody. The week of Easter is special at our house because we really love holidays, and this year we have the gift of time. We've had lots of extra time to cook and eat a lot of food. We decorated and we even did a science project, and I want to show that to you today. Here it is. Can you see what this is? Have you done this before? We put a raw egg in vinegar and we've left it. We're on day 4, I think. After about a day, we looked at it and realized that the vinegar had eaten away the outer shell of the egg. It disintegrated, and the liquid part of the egg turned into a solid, and it's kind of like a bouncy ball right now. And we intend to leave this in the vinegar for a few more days to see how rubbery we can get it. Well, I wanted to show you this experiment today because it's an egg, and when we think about Easter, we see maybe advertisements for Easter. Eggs are all over the place, aren't they? Why? Why do you think that is? Well, one of the reasons is because eggs are a symbol for something new. And this is certainly a time, it's spring, so we see new life everywhere. There are animals having babies, the trees are budding, the grass is getting more green. And also, if you look closely and you really think about it, there are always new things happening in your life. Easter is a nice opportunity to take a few minutes to figure out what those new things are. Or maybe it's something that was already there, but there's something new about it. Maybe there's something in math that has really troubled you. You just can't figure it out. And then one day you just get it. Well, that's something new. Maybe you haven't been getting along with somebody and you start to like each other. That's something new. Sometimes the new comes from something we already knew that evolves into something else. Well, I just wanted to give you something like that to think about today, and I hope that you have the most wonderful Easter celebration, and blessings always. I sure miss seeing your face. Happy Easter.
Ready for some Mayflowers. April is totally getting ready for Mayflowers. Iowa. And some of you, I'm pretty sure, are still wrestling with the problem of where to go for Easter, the living room or the kitchen. I'm here every week. Be sure and tip your servers. I like that everything kind of comes together with a theme, even when, I did notice that the daily word was about Easter, but I loved the song Kyle got for us. And I actually enjoy some of the spontaneous stuff, like, whoops, that was last week. Whoops. Well, we do have Rachel's message for the youth, which will go after this talk. So if you want a fresh one, double dose, you can have it after this talk. So that just reminds me to take a moment and be present in this moment right now, getting ready to talk to you. Looking at two cameras, seeing people respond is really sweet. I see people on the Zoom, I see people sending they're messaging on the Facebook Live, which is cool. It's like then I feel really connected to you all doing these things. I know Dan did too, and of course, hearing a Phoebe story makes a good Sunday. Well, I'm gonna go right to some scripture, Luke chapter 24. But on the first day of the week at early dawn, they came to the tomb, taking the spices that they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they went in, they did not find the body. While they were perplexed about this, suddenly two men in dazzling clothes stood beside them. The women were terrified and bowed their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen." So this is my message for Easter, my message of joy. Do not hang around the tomb. It's resurrection. There's a lot of metaphysical meanings to this story. Well, let me make this personal. Our relationship is changing. I have been lucky and blessed enough to be the minister at this church since 2010. And I want to keep our hearts open. It's an interesting thing for me. I'm going through a lot of feelings about letting go of things and feelings of excitement about what's to come. And how will our relationship change? And my spiritual practice is really helpful now. The people I'm listening to, the people I'm in meetings with, the teachers, the books I'm reading, the message is really keep your heart open. Keep your heart open through all of it. And don't hang around the tomb. Do not hang around the tomb. One of my very first talks as a ministerial student was, if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. Thank you to Mr. Stephen Stills, inspired by Billy Preston. Here's the deal about that. When I was in ministerial school, Roland was in Florida, and I was at Unity Village outside of Kansas City in Lee Summit. Now, being a child of the 70s, okay, a young adult of the 70s, I know what part of it means. It can't be with the one you love, honey. But I love that philosophy. So while I was missing Roland, I knew that I missed him a lot. But I was in a unique, awesome place. I was learning new things. I was in a beautiful park-like setting at Unity Village. And so as I really had to convince myself, and then once I started convincing myself to quit hanging around the tomb, I was really happy. I can still miss Roland and love being with the people I was around. The message is clear on a day like Easter. For every goodbye in your life, look around at who and what you still have in your life. And let's face it, every one of us now is living a different life. Something's different. There is nobody in our entire world, I'm pretty sure, who is not having a different experience right now. So something's gone, but what's not gone? What's the gift? We talked about that. What's still happening? What's the beautifulness of this? Last night I watched Jesus Christ Superstar. It was a 2012 production in England in a big arena. It was awesome. I loved it. It's a very dramatic story. And as I'm watching it, and I know the music because I think it came out when I was actually a kid in grade school. And I remember going to see a production with my dad and my two of my siblings. And it was amazing, and I loved it. But here's the interesting thing about Jesus Christ Superstar. It stopped. It ends on Good Friday. Jesus Christ Superstar ends on Good Friday. And our story begins on Good Friday. The unity story, and really Christianity, let's face it, Christianity, the story does not end on Good Friday. And what I want to remind us all is that hopefully most days, even when it's the Friday-est Good Friday that we've had in a long time, or maybe past the Good Friday, and we are in the tomb. We're in the tomb. But most days we can find some resurrection. A lot of my fellow ministers have been talking about this time is like being in the tomb, that we're at home. So what are the gifts of being in the tomb, or what would you want to emerge with? This would be the time like the seed is underground, you're growing, but you're resting, you're in a somewhat kind of darkness, you're preparing to grow. And yes, that is true, but I really believe that every day there's a little resurrection. And don't hang around the tomb is really lighting up my life right now, because it also reminds me of do not eat from yesterday's menu. The soup of the day is only good the day you make the soup. I do not want Saturday's soup of the day today. The transformation in Easter, on this Easter, is about you, about your transformation. And it wouldn't be a unity talk if I didn't have a little bit of practical Christianity in here, and I do. I have some practical Christianity about all these topics, about not hanging around the tomb, about being present in the moment. So as we are going through this experience, every day is a new day, I want you to remember to have compassion for the self that is undergoing the change. Whether you're the butterfly or the caterpillar in the chrysalis about to emerge, whether you're the person who's feeling like Jesus in the tomb, about to be resurrected, whether you're just the person who's been in their house for 4 weeks and they're waiting for something to shift. Compassion for the self that is undergoing the change. Remember that. That is something that always works as we keep our heart open. Then I want us all, I'm always talking to myself too, humility. Humility, humility. I saw a comic strip that delighted me. There was a stork dropping off the baby to the parents, and the stork was saying, remember, unique, not extra special. And I thought, wow, that's a good one for me, because we do long to be extra special, but the truth is, we are all unique, and that is amazing enough. We do not need to be special, that is to say, different from, above everybody. But we do want to celebrate that we are unique. And truly, the only way you can express the divinity in you is by being you, uniquely you. So, unique, not extra special. Here's a little more advice. I have 3 more pieces. Respond to the events of the day in the day they occur. That's like today's soup of the day. Respond to the events of the day in the day they occur. This is a goal. I haven't got it yet, but it's my goal. And it helps me to remember, well, what is really going on today? Do I want to carry around, let's see, I want to drag a chair to show you. Do I want to carry this chair around? And I think the Zoom people can't see it, the Facebook people could. Do I want to carry around yesterday's menu? Do I want to carry around yesterday's anger? Do I want to carry around yesterday's garbage? No. Here's the last 2 things to do. Do not act in fear or judgment of your fellow people. Do not act in fear or judgment of yourself or anyone else. The realization of any problem is within the problem, recognizing that this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to re-know and realize what is there to help us evolve, grow, turn into a butterfly, grow into a flower. And this is the last beautiful piece of advice. What you require will be brought to you. This is really important for us to remember now as we spend most of our time in our homes, and what you require will be brought to you. Not just while we're doing this, but all the time. So take those things, in a word, compassion, humility, be present, realize the problem is your evolution, and receive. Realize what will be brought to you. And let go of the history of the ego, the small self, and find the seat of your essence. Find the seat of your spirit. Find the seat of the Christ in you. Find the seat of the Buddha. Michael Singer, who wrote The Untethered Soul, is one of the people I'm studying now, had a video, and he was saying, in these times, specifically now, this week, you use everything to get to God. People were asking him, because he's a major spiritual teacher, well, what do you think it means? He said, it's none of my business what it means. I'm not going to figure out what this means. I do not want to spend my brain and mind figuring out what the big picture is, when what I really want to do is be present in the moment and use everything that happens to get to God. He also talks about using your energy and keeping your heart open. Using your energy, keeping your heart open. Meaning that every time we close down our heart, it stops our energy. And as soon as I read that, I realized, wow, that is so true. It is amazing how often I get a thought or see a person or look out at the rain and have a little shutdown. Have a shutdown of my heart. So that's why I believe that every day we have stuff that's brought to us that we can have a resurrection from. Every day we can open our heart. I wish for all of us a beautiful resurrection and a happy Easter. And I want all of us to remember that our, let's see, our relationship with everything changes every day. Our relationship with ourselves changes every day. And our relationship with all the people in our lives changes every day. But as long as our heart remains open, then we are in resurrection. So here's what's going to happen next, my dear people. We are going to talk about collecting an offering for unity. So, as you know, you're not here, nobody's passing a basket to you, but I want to say that if you have any desire to, you can donate to us online. That works. You can mail us something. Snail mail works really wonderfully. And if you really want, you can call me up and we can do a square transaction over the phone. So all those ways you can give us some beautiful